being good at something can make it much harder to leave, yeah? If you're rubbish at something, there's almost a neatness to it, yeah? It isn't working, it isn't working, other people can probably see it too, walking away makes sense. But when you're good at it, that's messier, yeah? I've spent, 20 years in kitchens, and kitchens have been good to me. I can't pretend otherwise. They've paid the bills. They've helped me provide for my family. They've given me a career, responsibility, people I've met, things I'm proud of. And after doing it for that long, you know your way around it, yeah? You know what busy feels like. You can usually see a bad service coming before it properly arrives, yeah? You know what problem needs sorting now and which one can wait 5 minutes. It's nice knowing what you're doing. The problem is, the better you get at something, the more of it tends to come your way, yeah? People trust you with the harder bit. You get more responsibility, yeah? You become the person somebody comes to because you've probably dealt with this before, yeah? And that's a good thing, yeah? It means you've earned trust. But enough years of that, being good at the job can quietly become one of the main reasons that you just keep doing it. And I don't think I really separated those things for a long time, yeah? But being good at something answers, can I do this? But it doesn't answer, do I still want my life to be going this way? And that second question gets much harder when you've got 20 odd years behind you. Because changing direction isn't just, I'll try something else, that there's a big difference between walking into a place as the bloke who's been doing this for years and walking in as the new guy who has to ask basic questions, yeah? I I know how to be a chef. I know roughly where I stand in that world. Uh, the thought of going somewhere else, doing something different, and being at the bottom again, yeah, that's uncomfortable. And for me at least, it's not mainly the money. It's the not knowing. Yeah, it's it's somebody explaining something fairly basic and having to shut up and listen, yeah, because actually I'm the inexperienced person now, yeah. It's going from being the person people ask to being the person doing the asking, yeah. And there's a slightly uglier fear under that, you know. What if the thing I've been good at for all these years is the only thing that I'm good at? Yeah. What if I step outside kitchens and find out I wasn't a capable person? I'm just a capable chef. I I don't like admitting that one, but it's there, and then there is the 20 years themselves, you spend that long earning a job, getting better at it, getting things wrong, you learning from them, and you're getting trusted with more. So the idea of doing something that looks sideways or backwards on paper, it can feel like you're binning all of that. And I can understand why people stay in things for that reason. Yeah, it's not because they're scared of change in some vague motivational cat poster way. So sometimes you've built a place where you know who you are, and leaving means giving up that certainty for a while. Yeah, and let's not pretend it. Pride gets mixed into it too, yeah? I I want to do a good job. I always have. If I'm doing something, I want to pull my weight. I like knowing I'm useful. I don't particularly enjoy being the person standing there with no idea what's going on. And that pride can be useful. It's probably part of how you get good in the first place. But it can also make you ask a slightly different question without noticing. It's that question isn't, is this still what I want? It's more, can I prove that I can still do it? I think age has got that harder for me to ignore. Yeah, it's definitely made it harder. I'm not I'm not ancient. I'm not claiming to be ancient, but I'm also not pretending that kitchens are gentle on you. You know that they're hot. You're on your feet. You're lifting things, moving things. Just long days, and sometimes you get home with bits of you aching that you didn't even realise you'd been involved. You know, but the funny thing is, I still want to be able to do it. That's part of why I'm trying to look after myself better. Yeah, I'm going to the gym because I want to be stronger. Yeah, but I want my knees and my back and everything else to keep working. You know, if I choose a physical job, I want my body to be capable of it. I don't want the decision made for me because one day I simply can't do it anymore. I want that option. But having the option and having to keep proving I can do it are different things. And that's important, yeah? Because there's a version of this conversation that gets very easy very quickly, yeah? I'm getting older, the job's hard, I'll leave. But that's not what I want, yeah? Now look, if you're genuinely unhappy, I'm not the bloke who's going to tell you to stay somewhere that makes you miserable. Yeah, just because leaving is scary. But I do think you need to work out what you're actually unhappy about, yeah? Because otherwise it's very easy to just move and take the real problem with you. Now, if it's one bad workplace, changing your entire career might not fix that, you know? If you say yes to everything because you hate disappointing people, you probably still do that somewhere else. If you need to prove you're the person who can carry everything, then a different job title won't magically remove that, you know? You can change the uniform and take the same problem with you. So if you're unhappy, that matters. Of course it matters. I just don't think it's always the whole answer, yeah? I found it more useful to ask what part of the thing is actually costing me. Is it the work itself or the way I'm doing it? Is it a rough period or is it the direction I don't want anymore? Am I genuinely trying to improve my situation or am I desperate for anything that feels different, yeah? And these aren't questions that I think you answer on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah, I know I haven't. And family makes it even less tidy, yeah? I want more time with my family. It's almost a standard answer once you've got kids, you know? It can sound like the thing you're supposed to say when you're talking about a work-life balance. That doesn't make it less true, though, you know? My kids wrestle, yeah? I want to see them in the ring. I want a random beach day. I want to be there for the completely ordinary stuff that doesn't look important until you've missed enough of it. And I've done the other version, yeah? I've done the getting home and they're already in bed. I've done the missing something because work is work and somebody has to be there. Now, this doesn't make kitchens evil, yeah? Look, there are lots of jobs that take evenings and weekends, yeah? And the other truth is that the same career that's taken away from my family at times has also helped me to provide for them. You know, I don't want this to turn into I've finally realised my family matters more than work. Of course they matter more. That's not the discovery here. The difficult bit is working out how you can provide for people without automatically giving the job every bit of time and energy it asks just because you're capable of doing that. If you do decide that something needs to change, I don't think that makes everything before it a mistake, yeah? And that's something else I've got to get my head around. If I ever do something different, I don't suddenly become the bloke I was before I learned any of this, yeah? The years don't disappear. The judgment doesn't disappear. The ability to work under pressure, to deal with people, to get things wrong and fix them and come back the next day doesn't disappear. You don't carry the exact job with you, but you don't arrive empty-handed either. But it can still look that way from the outside. If you're good at what you do, the obvious path is very easy for other people to understand. Just do more of it. Yeah, take the bigger role, keep climbing the same ladder. So a move that looks smaller or sideways or just a bit strange can be hard to explain. And to be fair, sometimes other people are right to question you. Yeah, somebody outside your own head can occasionally see that you're kidding yourself long before you can, but they're still not the person who has to live inside of your week. That they're not in your body at the end of the shift. They're not deciding which bits of family life they keep missing. They're not the one who has to wake up and do the next 10 years. So I don't think a better direction always has to look better on paper. Yeah, it might mean staying where you are and just changing how you work. Yeah, it might mean deciding one part of the job isn't worth the cost anymore. And sometimes it might mean admitting that a direction that you were genuinely proud of 10 years ago isn't automatically the direction you owe another 10 years to. And I think that's the bit that I've been circling around. Yeah, being good at something matters. Being proud of it matters. But being tired matters. Wanting more time at home matters. Being frightened of starting again matters. But none of these things on its own gets to decide where you go. Yeah? Competence tells you that you can keep doing something, but it doesn't tell you that you have to do it. Maybe that's why leaving something you're good at can be harder than leaving something that's obviously failing. Yeah, you're not escaping a disaster. You're looking at something that's been good to you, that you may still be good at, and asking whether that's enough reason to give it the next part of your life. And I don't have a clean answer for that. I just know I don't want to stay somewhere purely because I'm too proud to start again. And I don't want to leave purely because I'm too impatient to understand what is actually wrong. Yeah. And whatever direction I take, I want to know why I'm choosing it. You choose your next 10 years.